And so I'm working with people and they're tracking it, and all of a sudden they're like, I have so much more money. And I'm like, how'd that happen? They're like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got in a relationship with your spending is what happened.
You are now listening to the Nick Francis Podcast, Episode 6, produced by Sky Sprout Digital Media.
Hello, everybody. This is Nick Francis, and welcome to the Nick Francis Podcast. Today we have Jon with us, and Jon is going to introduce himself, and we're going to jump right into it.
Hey, everyone. Jon Groleau, Thriving Financial. How's everybody doing today?
They're doing great.
Thanks.
No. So I admittedly have the hardest time pronouncing your last name, which is why I didn't say it right there, but I'm going to work on it during this hour.
Yeah, so what I used to say as a kid, it worked when I was a lot shorter. Now that I'm 6 feet tall, it doesn't work as much, is I grow low.
Grow low.
That's all it is.
It's way easier than I've been making it.
Yeah, it's because it's French on the end and everyone gets scared by vowels.
Yeah, that's super scary. Growlow? Growlow?
Yeah. That's, I heard it all.
Growlow.
Most people go with Jon.
Yeah, I did that. Well, awesome. So why don't you start off by telling us what you do and give us a little brief synopsis on your work history and your life here.
All right. So I am a financial planner, financial consultant for Thriving Financial. And I really do just about anything when it comes to finances and money, everything from supporting people with budgeting, basic spending, retirement insurances, managing money, business planning, stock option. I mean, really, it just comes down to anything financial. What I really look for and what I really value is financial relationships with people looking to build, looking for that consistent advice, looking for ways to optimize what they're already doing well, or if they're not doing it, not having a conversation, begin a conversation for that long-term relationship, because those long-term relationships, long-term values are how you have massive effect for people.
That's awesome. And what got you interested in doing that?
Long story short, I was bouncing from what I felt was job to job. I was in the military for 9 years at this point. I was actually in the Ohio National Guard here, didn't really have a full-time job, was doing part-time guard work. I was working part-time contractor for an airline, part-time contractor for a government, and I was just sick and tired of not having a career. Gal I was dating at the time was like, you should go into sales. And I'm like, no. Like, I've flown on planes. I fly planes my whole life. Like, I train. And she's like, well, people seem to like you. You can learn anything. And you're outgoing. That's kind of sales. And she's like, your airline has a sales job. I'm like, I don't want that job. And I called my sister, just kind of telling her, and she's like, oh, you should do what I do. I'm like, I really don't want to do sales. She goes, I don't. I educate people on what's possible for their finances. And she told me a really brief story on she had a friend that ended up doing some planning with them, some disability insurance, some life insurance, some retirement planning with this young couple with kids. And the individual ended up getting cancer and not being able to work anymore. The spouse already didn't work. And then the individual ended up passing away. And the awful thing was losing a friend, losing, a mother to some children. But the beautiful part was financially, they never had to worry. So I heard that story. I was like, what you do really changes lives. Oh, yeah. Really has a huge impact and really supports people. I could do something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. So I found out about a month ago, I entered my 5th year, and I've loved every single one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool that there's like a really nice why behind what you do, and you're truly, setting people up for their future so they have nothing to worry about. You're not trying to, what your why isn't you make people an extra 1 or 2%. It's like helping, spouses feel comfortable if they're, if the worst happens or something like that. So that's really nice. So cool. Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks. I've always said, my big thing is like, what if when something happens, you can just worry about the event and not worry about money?
Yeah.
That's my entire goal, my entire why. You lose a loved one, you lose your job, you're forced to retire early. You know what's going to happen, whether positive or negative, so you know what you get to respond with. It's not that whole, oh crap, what do we do now? I have no clue where to begin. It's, Well, we've talked about it. We've got a plan for it. So plan might not be amazing because of where we could put ourselves at this point, but we know at least. So we're just going to deal with the tragedy, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And we're just going to move on and do our best.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a really like powerful way you can help people in a way that not everybody really thinks about. You don't think about those things until they happen, unfortunately. So try to make them not real.
Yeah, and that's actually what quite often becomes the hardest part of my job is I say, hey, what if this? Well, that'll never happen to me. I really hope it doesn't.
Right.
I really hope it doesn't. And statistically, it might not.
Right.
But if it does,
Mm-hmm.
then what? And that's where people are like, well, yeah, holy crap.
It's like pre-planning a funeral or something like that. Like you don't want to do it, you don't want to think about it, but when you understand like how much burden that's going to take off your family in that horrible, like when it's already that stressful and like horrible, like being able to like be present in that moment versus like trying to come up with the money or decide what they want or something that's got to be hugely helpful for them.
Oh, it's massive. I had one where there was an accident. Someone passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up to the house that day. They called me that morning. The entire family was there. And the spouse was not the higher earning spouse. And the family's like, what's she going to do? What's going to happen? I'm like, everything will be fine financially. How can you say that? Because we did the plan.
Yeah.
We know the insurance is in place. Everything will be okay. Worst case scenario, everything will be fine. Best case scenario, financially, everything will be amazing. So just grieve.
Yeah.
Take your time. Do whatever you need to do. When you're ready to sit down and start working on what we need to do next and support you through this process, we're here.
Yeah.
And it gave the whole family, you could see the whole family like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Like it's very, very powerful.
Cool. So you work with, tons and tons of clients. You have like a very, very large client base. Talk about kind of how you develop that following those clients and, any advice for somebody that's in a similar sales type position.
Yeah. So I initially started, the first thing they talk about, what's your natural market? Who are you going to call when you get hired? Mm-hmm. And I put together a list of about 100, 200 people. But it really wasn't the best list. It was just names. Some of them were absolutely people I could call. Some of them weren't. But what I found out is I just started having authentic conversations with people I met. Started talking about and educating on what I was doing. I also inherited a group of underserved members in the area. My company hadn't had a representative in the area for a long time, and I started reaching out to them. And the way I grew my client base just to be so amazing was always following up with what I say I did, because it took a long time for some people to come around. It took a year or 2 years, but the key was I always said, hey, I understand you're not ready right now. How about I call you back in a month? How about I call you back in 6 months? How about we sit back down in 6 months? I'll be back next year. And then I showed up. Then I did what I said I did, and they kind of did this whole like, I walked in and the client's like, I didn't expect to see you back here. I'm like, I said I would.
Yeah.
Right. So does everyone else.
Mm.
No one comes back. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not everybody else. Let's talk. And just having real conversations, education on what you can do with your finances, I found was very powerful. Not selling anything, but selling the information. I'm going to provide you information. I'm going to provide you an education on everything that's possible.
Yeah.
And then you choose what you want to do. I will educate you on your options as well,
right,
to achieve your goals, because it's about you. It's not about me. And then as I started to build more and more loyal members, and I call clients members because I'm a member organization, the company I work for.
Sure.
But what ended up happening was I started saying, hey, who could you introduce me to?
Yep.
Who could use this? And because I provided value, and I knew I'd provided value because I finish almost every meeting with, did you find value today?
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for the no. I'm waiting for it to happen because that'll be a huge learning point for me.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for it, but I haven't had it happen yet. So I knew I provided value, and I just started saying, and who could I meet? And I started hosting events saying, hey, it's awkward sometimes to say, hey, you should go talk to my financial advisor.
Yeah.
But it's not awkward to say, hey, my advisor invited us to a soccer game, invited us to this educational event, invited us to this fun event. I'm going to go have fun, paint, and eat dinner. Why am I here? Oh, it's my advisor. Your advisor's inviting you to this? Yeah, you meet him. Oh, it's that guy. I talked to him for 20 minutes. He seems real cool. Well, he supports me with all my money decisions.
Yeah.
Maybe he can support you too. You found out, he's not a robot. He's human. You two got along.
Yeah.
So why not give it a shot? And so by doing that, I would say my number one client acquisition, member acquisition is referral events, asking for referrals, and just making sure the information is out there. Because I think, as all of us in sales, marketing, everything know, the warmer the lead, the more likely they are to do business with you.
Yeah.
So that got super powerful for me, and it continues to carry me today. And when I'm not focused on referrals, business can lag. And when I focus back on referrals, business picks right back up.
Yeah. That's interesting. I want to go back to what you're saying about the follow-up, it being a 1 to 2 year at sometimes period of customer acquisition. And, I've had a couple really nice big accounts come in lately, and people are, I'll tell a friend about it and humble brag or get excited and share it with them. Like, wow, like that's awesome. Like that quick, you've only been in the new space for a couple months. I'm like, no, this was 8 months. Yeah. Like, and that to me didn't even feel like, I'm prepared for long term. Like I've got people on the radar for like the 24 months out when we're ready for it. So talk, a little bit more about, I don't know if it's just patience or if it's just people understanding that your first meeting with somebody and being prepared to say, this is going to take 6, 12, and 24 months, like that, consistency and that patience, like how has that actually served you? Because I think it's everything, like right now with sales for me.
Oh, I completely agree with you. There's that standard statistic out there, it takes 7 touches to sell something. I love to think and say I'm not in sales, but I am. I'm selling 100%. Products, I'm selling advice, and I have no problem with it, but I open from a stance of education. And what happens is, through that consistent education, through exactly what you said, taking the time to show you care about someone, to show you have their best interests at mind, to show you're going to do what you said you do. I'm sure through those 8 months for clients, there was some banter back and forth, and they saw that you'll follow up. Yeah. They saw that you'll respond. They saw that you'll adapt to meet their specific needs. You're not a cookie cutter. Yeah. You're not saying, here's my one-size-fits-all program, insert you here. That absolutely works in some situations, but for the more unique clients, the bigger clients, the stronger relationship clients, typically that doesn't work, and it takes time. And what I told everyone, I'll never forget my managing partner, Steve. I forget how long I was into this. I actually really struggled my first year because I wasn't churning and burning and flipping and, doing whatever it took to sell. I was building relationships. But because I was building a relationship, some came faster than others. But Steve asked me, he goes, how's it going? And I said, I love what I do so much. If I have to eat peanut butter and jelly and live in a cardboard box, I'll never leave this job. Yeah. And he kind of laughed because he's like, well, that's never going to happen the way you are. But it was the commitment I had to the long game, for lack of a better term. Yeah. I'm going to be here. I'm going to do what I say I'll do. And I've had instances where I've made mistakes. Sure. I haven't followed up. And, maybe initially I tried to cover it up. I was like, oh my gosh, they can't know that I messed up. Right. But what I now do and what I found is I made a mistake. It didn't cost anyone anything. There was no error. Nothing happened. It wasn't a financial thing, but I was supposed to call a month ago and I didn't. I apologize. I'm calling you now. Is it too late? Do we want to continue talking? 9 times out of 99 out of 100, not 9 out of 10, even more than that. They're like, oh yeah, great, perfect. Let's keep going. Let's keep moving forward. And it was just that follow-up that, what is it? It is, you have to show people how much you care before they care about how much you know.
Yeah.
And for me, it was that long-term showing up, adjusting, accommodating, really taking care of people and showing them I'm not going anywhere. Because that's another thing in this industry. Financial services, you're in for a year, you're out. Standard retention rates in our industry is very, very low. If 3 years or 3 months, I forget how many people don't make it. 6 months, so many people don't make it. I think it's like 3 in 10 make it beyond a year or something like that.
Why is that, do you think?
I think it's because of the commitment required to the long game. And when you start, sometimes it's a slow start.
Sure.
My first year was a massive struggle. There were many months where I didn't have a paycheck because it's based on fees and commissions. You don't sell anything, you don't collect any fees, you don't have any income.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be able to supplement with the guard. I worked very, very hard, probably over 70 hours a week.
Wow.
But then what happened is building those relationships built, where, then it started coming in regularly, filling up your pipeline, taking care of things.
That's awesome.
So, those relationships still serve me today. The ones I started 5 years ago, I'm still going back regularly, still following up regularly. And, it's really kind of cool when you get like customer comment cards. And, you see your scores, you see where you're at, you see what they're saying about you. And it's kind of a huge source of pride.
Sure. 100%. I love what you're saying about, just, showing people that you're going to be there like a year from now and showing that you're sticking around. I had we did a trade show 3 years ago, and then we did one the year after, and the turnover from like, I don't know what you call it, or the drop off from people that didn't like renew their booth and do it was just so high that it became very much a common practice, which I didn't realize, where buyers would look at somebody they liked, cool, and then wait for them to be there next year. And if they weren't there next year, they knew they made the right decision. And if they were, they did business with them if they were, but no matter how much they wanted to do business, like they waited for them to see if they could stick around for another year. And I had 2 clients specifically that came up to me and they're like, "You guys are back. Cool. I was just making sure, like I wanted to see that you guys were going to be here for a year and not just drop off." And like that was all they were waiting for. They'd already made the decision that what we did was valuable and they wanted to do it, but they wanted to wait to see. And I'm like, that's super cool. So when people start their business and they get discouraged a couple months in or even a year in, I tell people like, most of your friends probably don't even fully understand what you do for like a year or two, like your prospects and everything. I'm like, give them some time, like be patient, push and be aggressive and like, make that, get the sales done, like keep pushing. But in the same breath, big picture, being patient with people and being understanding that like you want this to get done right now. It's not everybody else's top priority. You can only make it the priority so much before they completely write you off as stop bugging me,
And I think you're hitting on a huge point. There's really 2 types of clients out there, I feel, in all services. They're the ones looking for the transaction. They need something, they want it now, they're just going to get it. And then there's the ones looking for the long-term relationship for, I want you for my everything. I want to do more with you. Or maybe they're just looking for more. And like you're saying in your industry, like you're going to push and get the people through that you can. But, and I think this is why so many people leave financial services. You've only got so many of those. Sure. If you're not following up with those long-term relationships, creating those long-term relationships, that's what's going to feed you through the years. And I think one of the struggles a lot of people find in starting any business is, you started by yourself, I started by myself. The amount of work to handle all the clients you're attempting to handle, to massage and create all the relationships you're trying to massage, and to create the plan for the future is a lot of work. Would you agree?
Yeah. It's everything. It's absurd.
Where do you have to get before you can hire someone?
Right.
And so once you hire someone, once you get to that sustainable point, I'll never forget when I hired Jane, the running joke is she saved my life, but she might have actually. My friend, he was calling me. I wasn't answering. Finally, he gets a message. He goes, "Call me today or I'm calling the police to do a well check."
Jesus Christ.
Because I was so busy and I was neglecting so much of my life, which, that's not a good thing. I'm not saying
Sure.
do that, but that's how I decided. I decided I want to build a five-year business in 2 years, and I built probably a 10 or 15-year business in 2 years.
Nice.
But like those are the sacrifices I made, where the second I thought I could financially handle it, I hired part-time.
Yep.
And then I hired more part-time, and then I built my part-time up, and then I went full-time, and then I picked up another full-time. Because what I realized is now that I'm there, I don't want to keep killing myself.
Right.
And then my capacity grows as I grow my staff too. My quality of service grows, which is actually what's more important to me.
Yeah.
I want all of my members to have an A+ experience.
Sure.
And so by having Jane, by having Clay, by having myself, that's now 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3 of us can work together to provide that A+ experience, and we can build more because we're doing it, and we become more referable because we're doing it.
Yeah.
So it just creates a massive win-win opportunity.
Yeah. The, that hiring like area where you're like, you have enough work that you're like dying, but then you're not enough to afford to hire somebody is becoming really interesting, because that was, for a while, that was where I was at. And then we hired some staff and it was awesome. And then you realize it's constant, because as soon as you get enough clients, you got to keep, and finding that balance of like your pain tolerance for work you can put on your plate. After the first 1 or 2 employees, the place I'm at is I don't need to make like money, like as much off of the additional,
Right.
Because if you can make enough to survive and keep doing it, like I'm more interested in like, you can grow it and you can always optimize and increase your margins down the road. I'm more interested in, being able to devote 100% to what you're actually good at, which is what, which is for you is like sales and the actual like help hands-on with the customer, and all the busy work, as much of that as you can get off your plate as possible, because it provides you more time with the customer.
Yep.
It's just a cool balance of deciding. And some people, they don't want to hire anybody and they want to work 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, take all the money. And that's totally fine too. But then if you want to go past that, you got to decide, okay, I need to build a business, not a consulting agency or not a one-on-one agency, or of anything you're doing, a one-person shop. You just make that decision, and it's just different for everybody. Some people are fine with just doing it themselves.
Yeah, and for me, a lot of times when I'm talking with prospective business owners, people looking to build and grow, I sit there and I say, is this a business or is it a hobby?
Mm-hmm.
Because the two are treated totally different.
Yeah.
A lot of people have, side businesses they do, and they're like, oh, it's a business. I'm like, where's your profits? Well, I don't have any.
Yeah.
Businesses eventually should be making profit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, I'm not worried about profits. I'm like, cool, then it's a hobby.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is a fine line. You can't argue either way. But, at a certain point, if you're not making money in business, you stop doing the business.
Yeah.
Where hobbies you're willing to spend money on. And sometimes your side jobs are things you're doing for the benefits, like maybe the essential oils people are doing it because they get access to cheaper oils.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but maybe they're also doing it because they can build a massive team and generate some serious revenue.
Sure.
Just choose and own whichever you're doing.
Right.
And what
That's
you were
a big
talking
one.
about was awesome. I got to this point and I couldn't handle any more. And what happens is you'll start to drop, and it's called the sigmoid curve. You and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. So you hire someone, and then that big dip because you're running out of energy doesn't happen.
Yep.
It's a little dip because you got to pay someone new, but then you can climb and grow again, and it's really just the next step for you.
Yeah. It's super. I've for like a little period of my time or my life with this specific type of business, I was thinking that there was going to be this. I thought what I wanted was like. I had a number in my head. Like I was getting asked a lot by like friends and everybody, like what my number was. And I was like, I guess this. And it was like a 2-month period where I'm like, I don't have a number. Like my goal is to build a business, and that's just what I enjoy doing. And I can't tell you the last time, besides like the number I know that I have to make to pay my actual bills, the last like 4 or 5 months, I haven't even thought about like making money to like buy cool stuff. I'm like, buy stuff for the business. Like I like investing in nerdy stuff. And like I've kind of rebuilt that passion for like tech gear and like building this business, and I'm just like, we're building a company, whatever we're making, let's build it. I'm worried about 20, years down the road when you can grow, like have something massive. But it's perfectly okay, I think, for people to have a one person thing that's more than a hobby.
Oh yeah.
And it just becomes a little tricky because those businesses, it's hard to provide the A+ service because you got to go on vacation and to survive, to like maintain sanity, and like you've got to get sick, like it's going to happen. And so it's just dangerous in some instances for companies to rely on you, because if you don't have a team behind you, whatever that looks like, it can look different for everybody, whether it's subcontracting when you're on vacation or having like a friend of yours take over the phones when you're gone, whatever. But having no plan and saying that, you're a web developer, or you're any person that's like a freelance.
Right. You're
person.
A one-stop shop.
It's tricky.
What happens when the one stop isn't there?
Yeah.
And like you said, vacation, sickness, illness, who knows?
Yeah.
You could be gone for mom and dad, something happened, got to go home. Like for me, my parents are in Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. I pick up town, got to go in Rhode Island on a split second notice. I've got 2 more people, actually I have more than that can answer my phone for me.
Yep.
Like, because there's sometimes I'm not going to answer my phone.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing also has been making that clear to people.
Yeah.
And they're like, why would you answer your phone all the time?
Yeah.
But also I love what you said about going back to, I love how you're realizing it's not about the number. Like I'm in financial services,
right?
And it's hilarious because so often it's not about the number. It's not about the rate of return, because anyone can get you return. It's not about the dollar number. It's about what's enough. What's your goal? Mm-hmm. My favorite question is, what's the purpose?
Right.
What's the purpose of this asset? What's the purpose of what you're doing? What's the purpose of what you're building? And if your purpose aligns with what you're doing, the numbers only matter so much. Like you said, I know what I've got to make to cover costs. Mm-hmm. I'm exceeding that.
Yep.
So you have the freedom to step in and really just focus on purpose and growth and what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about what's behind you, what's going on, the back office and all that stuff. You just get to work towards your hopes and goals and dreams. And what I found for people is when you're doing that, it's 10 times more enjoyable than whether they're a thousandaire or a millionaire and they're going, what am I doing with money? What's happening? Where is it going? What am I doing? Oh my gosh, what's next? How's this happening? They're a wreck versus they go, no matter how much it is, they go, it's okay. I know what's happening. I'm good with it. Just going to keep going on with my goals, my hopes, my dreams, and my purpose.
Yeah. That's, as you're saying that, it reminds me of something I've been talking to a lot of more startup-y, like probably just friends of mine and people that want to get into marketing. And from where I stand, they're talking about, creating a marketing plan and an advertising budget to do like the big picture, but the bills aren't covered yet. And so the advice I've been giving everybody is, you make different decisions and you have different thought processes when you're worrying about rent and when you're worrying about everything. Mm-hmm. and your prices are different, your confidence is different. And like, we've all been there. It's like, I know this, I should charge $200 for this, but like, I'll charge $50 because like I need like gas money or like something. It's on a bigger scale. When you're doing a business, those thoughts still run through your head is, do I want to come down in price? Well, you know what? It's that, or we don't get to do X. So yeah, like I'll come down in price. So what I've been telling everybody has been to get to a point when just hustle, guerrilla market, whatever you got to do, get your practice to the point where you can get all of your bills paid and start putting aside a marketing budget, and then talk about like the next step, because you can't really focus on the grand vision and building the company and the business until kind of those just really needs are met, none of that gets done quickly. And so starting a marketing campaign to like pay your rent or like to get those bills paid because you just quit your job I'm like, right. Try and get your head above water while you're still in your job, and then quit your job and have your bills paid. You can do both. It sucks, but you can do both 100%.
It doesn't have to suck. That's the coolest thing. What you're saying is actual work I'm currently doing.
Okay.
I have people that are trying to turn their businesses into their lives. Like, this is the only thing I want. I'm leaving my 9 to 5. I'm getting control. But the problem is quite often we're not in relationship with our finances. We don't know how much it costs to live. We don't know how much things cost. Great, leave your 9 to 5. You're losing your medical, you're losing your disability, you're losing your life insurance, you're losing your retirement account. How much do you think those 4 things could cost?
Right.
I know people that are paying $700 a month for private medical. I know people that are paying $100 a month for private medical.
Yeah.
And so it's you're absolutely correct, but like, it doesn't have to be painful, because what happens so often is we analyze what people are doing, how much they're spending, what their fixed requireds are. And the funniest thing that happens all the time is I go, you have to have Netflix?
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, I don't. Right. If you want to start your business and you drop all that nice to have, you can start your business sooner. Or, I have to eat. You're absolutely right. You have to eat. I notice here on this statement, you spent $78 at the tap room.
Yeah.
You're single. Cost $78 for a meal.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, it doesn't matter to me.
It's not a judgment.
No
it's
judgment.
Just, yeah.
Nothing. Fact.
Yeah.
$78 on one restaurant, one sitting. You want to start a business. How much money do you want to have to earn before you can go out and create that dream?
But I think it's even if the answer is, if you're like, okay, here are the wants in your life, the Netflix, the Hulu, the HBO, the whatever the heck people spend dumb money on. And then it's, okay, the math works out that you can start this dream job, but you got to give all that for a while. Just the once, most people won't do.
Right.
And if that means you got to eat in 4 times a week or 5 times instead of eating out a week, if you like lay that out to people, it's like, well, here's what it's going to be. You have to stop these things in order to do that. If the answer isn't yes, 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 then you shouldn't do it. Like, if you're not that passionate that you can give up all the extra stuff, like, you should be way more excited about the possibility of doing this, and then you have to give everything else up. Like, it's not forever. It's not even for really that long normally if you're good. Like, it's not that big a deal. Yep. But if you would rather have those things, it's totally okay. Enjoy them, do them, but then understand that is more important to you than this business you're thinking about. And that's totally okay. Everybody in this world doesn't have to be a freaking entrepreneur. Like,
or it takes you longer to get started, or who knows, you know. And here's one of the funny things, like, so I talk about needs, wants, desires, you know, and you categorize everything. I don't categorize anything for you. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. But what's fascinating is so often, like, I'm working with people now and I'm just saying, pay attention to your finances. Just pay attention to how you spend money.
Yeah.
Log it, track it, know what you're doing. And so I'm working with people and they're tracking it, and all of a sudden they're like, I have so much more money. And I'm like, how'd that happen? They're like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got in a relationship with your spending is what happened. You went to McDonald's, and instead of getting a number one, you know, super size, whatever, you ordered whatever 3 things off the dollar menu. So you went from spending $10 on lunch to $3 plus tax. You're just as full. You're just as satisfied. You're not noticing a single change in your lifestyle.
Right.
But all of a sudden, you have all this surplus cash. I had a guy, we were talking, we were just having a call, and he's like, man, I got behind. I went to a bachelor party, blew a bunch of money. I'm like, cool. How much you blow? Oh, like $300. Okay. So, well, I'm way behind now. I'm like, are you? Because you've been having really healthy spending habits the whole rest of the month.
Yeah.
You had a cheat day. You're way far behind. Because in your previous life, you would have cheated every day.
Yeah.
And then binged, and then you'd be behind.
Right.
But now, because that's like, it's not even a setback, because you got so far ahead. You know, I have people that go from barely being able to pay their bills to paying off thousands of dollars of debt in months just because their relationship and their habits with their finances. So if you think to create your dreams, to get to your dreams, to get to your goals, you have to give up stuff, it's absolutely not true. You just have to get in relationship with what you're doing.
Yeah, just patience then. If you want to do it in 6 months, then you drop everything and you go for it. But if I just want to get there at some point in my lifetime, I want to have X or do X, you just set up a plan and just be patient with it. But what you're saying with like being in a relationship with like your finance feels like the same thing with kind of the concept of why mostly every diet makes you feel better.
Yep.
Because it's not that like stopping eating bread makes every person feel better. It's that then you're actually like consciously making decisions, because so much of what we do in life is just skating by and like spending money on this or eating this or missing a workout or like having the same job for the last 5 years, even though you go into work every day and you hate it. Like you're just not taking like a control of anything. And so when you take an active approach to literally anything, the result is better. I mean, obviously money is like money and health are the easiest ones, but like anytime, even when you're asked to like do like a food diary when you start a diet or start a program, and then that first week it's like way better than normal, and you're like, but you didn't even do it on purpose. You're just like, shit, now that I have to think about what I have to eat, okay, maybe, I shouldn't. Like, you
take responsibility for what you're doing. You get intentional about being better. And it's amazing how quickly that can happen. But typically what we find is for the first 6 months to year, it's really supportive to have accountability. It's really supportive to tell someone, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. This is how it's going. Because what I find so often is people go, yeah, I don't have it. And then all of a sudden, like, they start sending me their stuff. And I'm like, you've got great spending habits. And like, I know, because you're looking at them. And I'm like, really? And they're like, that's all it took. You looking at them. I now say, would I want John to see me spend $500 on a pair of shoes?
Yeah.
And like, they all acknowledge, like, I don't judge them. I'm like, fact, this is how much money you spent on food. Fact, this is how much money you spent on travel. You know, and they're like, oh. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's really empowering and freeing for me too, because it takes me into a model where it's advice. It's advisory. It's all like education and information. Like, I know you and I talked a long time ago about ads and marketing and how there can be a lot of stigma and stuff around them, but also you can use it to your favor. And that's really what I find. And I think in any area of your life, responsibility and intention will take you where you want to be.
Yeah, that's huge. You said it way more eloquently than me with like the intention, but like that's really what it is. I think when people are even starting a business, not having an intention, and it's like a hobby and they're having fun with it, and they're like, one day it's going to get to this. I'm like, when?
Right.
Well, I don't know when. Okay, well, have a goal. Like, I know when I want to get this company to in X amount of time. If it doesn't happen, like, that's okay. But I have like I know where I want to be. So if you don't have any, like, not having like a vision or a goal is so like, it's, people don't understand. Like, it sounds so like silly and like woo woo of like, my vision is this, but it's not necessarily that. It's the lack of vision and the fact that like you have no idea where your company's going to be, how you're going to get there, what you want it to be. Like a simple, like silly vision board is like so dang underrated.
And it can be anything. And the beautiful part is like in my business, I totally changed my vision about 6 months ago. Totally reconfigured what I'm doing. And it's been so empowering. But like I took a successful business, altered my vision, and I still have a successful business.
Right.
Had a vision, have a vision, will have a vision. Versus I talk to entrepreneurs all the time and I'm like, what's your vision? Who's your ideal client? I don't know. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is what I'm doing. Great. What's your vision? Who's your ideal client? I don't know. if you don't know some very specific things,
Yeah.
why are you going to wake up in the morning? Where are you going to go? What's going to keep you getting out of bed on your worst days?
Mm-hmm.
That vision, that goal, knowing where you have the potential to go, and like you said, you might not get there every time.
It's fine.
Renegotiate, get back up, go for it again. I think that's what most entrepreneurs lack. And then the other thing is, you get a lot of individuals, and it's in a book. I mean, it's a phenomenal book. I recommend it to everyone. But, you're an amazing marketer.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. You do a great job. We've talked about it. We talked about what you do. You also are a great business owner.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you both segments to own the business and be the marketer. Some people are just the phenomenal marketer and they don't have the business acumen to run the business. And people get to recognize that as well. The book, The E-Myth Revisited, phenomenal book, recommended to any entrepreneur. It talks about cupcakes. Lady makes an awesome cupcake.
Mm-hmm.
But she realized purchasing ovens, running the bakery, like all that doesn't work for her.
Right.
So, and that's, I think, one of the jokes I always talked about is I was talking with leadership and talking with new people. They were wondering, what's my success? And I would tell the joke, I'm bipolar. I'm two people. I'm a business owner and a financial representative. And me as a financial representative works for my business owner. My business owner tells my financial representative how much he needs to work and what he needs to do. And my financial representative goes out and gets it done. And then my financial representative supports my business owner. So that's
super cool.
It took the hat off. Like, okay, today I'm not marketing. I get to hire people.
Yeah.
I get to lease space. I get to, whatever it is as a business owner, you don't necessarily, you might use your marketing skills, but as a business owner, you get to use financial skills. You get to, all that stuff. So
I think it's even maybe less about your skill set. It's more about your passion for it. Mm-hmm. So I just like running businesses, ran tons of unsuccessful businesses and loved every bit of it, and ran a couple successful ones and loved them just as much. Didn't particularly matter. I just love the concept and the challenge of it. Now, along the way, I've loved the actual type of business and vertical that we've been in. And marketing has kind of been the core foundation on how any of those have worked. And so this has just been, marketing is more my strong suit. Mm-hmm. And the entrepreneur side of actually running the business is more of the passion. So it's kind of been the ability to merge the two. But that makes a heck of a lot of sense. And it's totally true to have to take that hat off and be like, okay, working. I guess it's just as simple as working in the business and on the business.
Yeah.
And when you're skilled at working in the business and you're skilled at working on the business, it leads to some pretty awesome results. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's what gave you the sight to go, I've got X clients. Mm-hmm. I want to have Y clients, but wait a second. My marketer says I can do it all, but then I have no life. I'm not going anywhere. I can't build anymore. My business owner says X clients pays me, pays my space, pays my utilities. Now, every 2 clients I pick up, I can hire somebody.
Sure.
I don't have to work anymore. And this goes to what you were saying earlier. I just get to work out the margins. So my employment gets to be covered. My employees get to be covered. The cost gets to be covered. And, great if I make some profit off of that part of the business. If I don't, I've still got profit on this side of the business. I can build them together. I can work them together. That's business ownership. Mm-hmm. That's not, massively skilled marketer.
Right. It just takes both for whatever. I mean, for most people, it takes both. Or that's why all the big tech companies now, there's the tech founder and then they hire a CEO. And when the tech founder tries to do both is normally when you see it fail, or vice versa. You have a really skilled business person that tries to create an app, but they do it super cheap and they don't hire the right talent or invest in the right talent or understand the value in hiring the tech partner and giving them 50%.
Yep.
It's with most businesses, is understanding where your strong suit is. And that's huge.
And I think you just hit on another part of like where to create success and how to create success. And financial services, one of the things we talk about all the time is working with colleagues. Go out and work with colleagues. And what new people constantly run around and do is they say, well, then I've got to pay the person. Like I've got to give them something.
What do you mean?
So, I'm working on a big case and, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. And then you work, same company. And I say, hey, I could really use some support. Come on. So you come with me, we work on it together. It was originally my case. Well, now I've got to pay you for working on it with me. So I've got to split some of the money I'll make off of the business and hand it over to you. And that makes a lot of people hesitant to go out and get that support. Like you're saying, you get a tech guy, he hires a CEO. He gets that he's going to pay that CEO. You say, oh, I've got to hire a secretary. I'm going to pay that secretary. In my world, I've got to pay that other consultant, that other financial professional. But because I bring in that additional support, because I have that team, that opens me up for earning more because I have more expertise. I have different expertise. Maybe they see something I don't. Maybe they're a specialist. I'm about to become a college planner. I'm super excited.
Nice.
I get to walk into people and go, hi, I'm a college planner. Can I add value to your practice? And they're like, oh my gosh, come on in, work with my members, do college planning. And that's all you have to do. And then they've enhanced their relationship with their member, their customer, their client.
Yeah.
They have a win. I have a win because I provided additional value to the client. I made money. They made money. Everybody's winning. You go out, you hire a CEO because you're a tech guy. That CEO is going to build your company, make it more efficient, do whatever it is. You're going to have the awesome tech skills to handle everything. Win-win. CEO is going to make you more money. You're going to focus on what you're great at. You're going to make more money. Yeah, you've got to pay him, but you've got to look at that long game. We keep talking about it.
Yeah. I think it's super black and white for some businesses, like, the cost of another employee, how many clients they can handle. It's pretty black and white in a lot of businesses. It's when it becomes like that gray area of what is the value that CEO is going to bring, or what is that value of bringing on a business partner. Yep. Most people bring on business partners because it seems to make sense, or because they just hear that's what you're supposed to do, or whatever the reason is, and never really think through whether or not it's the right decision.
And now we're going back to our vision. What's our why for doing what we do?
Right.
Because your why should be driving who you hire, how you hire, and who you're looking for.
Right.
I was looking for better customer support. I was looking to get rid of some sides of business I don't choose to do. That's why I hired Jane.
Yeah.
She runs my calendar. She sets my appointments. She handles a lot of my administrative and service work. Yeah. It's amazing. It's stuff that I don't want to do. She's amazing at it. And that's my why for hiring her. I can't go wrong because I know my purpose for hiring her. If you're developing an app, you're probably not going to hire a CEO, but maybe you hire a marketer. I don't know, you know, whatever it is you're looking for.
Usually get like a business co-founder or something like that has a business side, but yeah. So I think with anything, it's obviously dependent on the business, but when you're going back to the why of what you're trying to do, when people don't have that clear vision for what they want to do with their business, which is like so ridiculously common, it's funny, right. and it's totally okay to not know how big it's going to be, or like, nobody can foresee it. You're not trying to get somebody to predict where their business is going to be. It's what's important to you. Okay, you want to run a marketing company. And what's the goal? Well, I want to make $500,000 a year so that me and my family can go on vacations one day, and that's what I want to do, and do it with the least amount of staff. Then build a business model around that. Yep. If it's I want to build the biggest marketing company I possibly can so that it can be worth $100 million one day, and I can sell it for $300 million, and I can buy a yacht. Well, that's a little bit different.
But I also push you to take it further. And, not you, but everyone out there, to say the why is not, I want to make X money. What's your why for what you want to deliver? There's a company out there, they put out a commercial. They don't mention their product. They don't advertise their product. They show an experience. That's all they do.
Yeah.
It's a video of someone with an experience in, movement and sound and everything. And then at the end of the commercial, it's bam, product over.
Yeah.
The product's delivering that experience. So to that marketer, I would say, what do you want to do for your clients? I want to build a business that grows my clients' businesses by 50%, by 100% through digital marketing, digital online space. And once you have that why, that will support you in designing how you're pricing what you're doing, and you can go to what you want to make.
Right.
But if it just, I want to make $500,000, well, what are you going to deliver for that?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to create for that? What's your value you're bringing to the table for that customer?
100%. That makes sense. Yeah. It's a why, and it's like they're two different things then. It's like the why behind why you do what you do is one thing, and then that helps you create the vision, which is, here's what I want to see this company be, and that's just based upon your goals.
I think it's even a TED Talk, and I think it's called "What's Your Why." I can't remember exactly what it is, but that's another thing.
Simon Sinek or that
guy.
Yeah.
Yep. And I fully believe that any professional, any entrepreneur, anyone looking to go out and be big, make a difference, professional education. And maybe it's not professional education, but educate yourself. Listen to the podcast. Listen to, the TED Talks that are relatable to you. Listen to the ebooks. Read the books. Do your research. Do your work. They don't write all these books, put all this motivational stuff out there for no reason.
Yeah.
They put it out there because they're sharing ideas that work. And that's the other thing I would say to most new entrepreneurs. You can reinvent the wheel. You can invent the wheel. But the wheel's a really good design. So maybe just utilize the wheel in your business how you need to.
Sure.
And then step out and create the next thing. There's processes that work. You don't need to start from the ground up. There's probably a foundation, someone doing a model similar to yours. Absolutely true innovators out there that are coming out with stuff totally different, but their marketing's probably similar to others. Their all their bases are probably fairly similar.
Right.
But it's their why that's totally different.
Yeah. I think the actual thing that I've been thinking about a lot and trying to understand how to properly talk about it is that as I was kind of talking about the people that are trying to, go this $1 million change the world idea is great. There's nothing wrong with it. But I also feel like then that it leads so many entrepreneurs or people that want to get into entrepreneurship. It's either I make $1 million or I stay at the job I'm at. It's either I keep doing what I'm doing and I don't, and the only way to start a business is to do this, $1 billion app idea, and then I can quit my job. And it's such a common thing that I keep hearing. It's like, man, if I could only invent the next Facebook, then I could quit my job. And I've addressed it a couple times in the podcast because I don't get it. How much are you making now? $50,000. Why do you feel like you need to make $1 million? Or the comment, it's like, if once I win the lottery, then I can tell my boss to shove it and walk out of here. I'm like, so you need to make $500 million to quit your job, or you make $50,000 and what? You just need to make $50,000 if that's what you're making.
Actually, quite often they don't even need to make that, because if they're willing to make sacrifices and go out, because here's what I've learned. This is what I learned in this job. I didn't do a lot of work for about a month recently. I had a concussion, kind of hilarious story. But then I went into work and I was just knocking out stuff, and I was sitting down and really for the first time getting fully back into it. I was like, oh my gosh, I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I don't care how much money I make. Yeah. That blows people away. I don't care how much. My only requirement is I pay my bills.
Yeah.
Because I love what I do. And what I find so often is, you're right, $50,000 a year, great. You have something else you would love. What if you could make $40,000 a year, better financial decisions, love every aspect of your job instead of 2 or 3 things, wake up every morning excited to do your job?
Yeah.
would you sacrifice that $10,000 to do it? Because that's where the $1 million idea comes from.
Yeah, even as an employee, like it's mirrored to that too. So, I literally just had like my employee literally just told me yesterday that people should be willing to take a $10,000 pay cut as word for word to work here. And I'm like, here? He's like, have you worked another job? And I'm like, actually, no. So I'm like, does it suck that bad? You kind of lose perspective, but like we have a riot here. Like it's 2 of us right now. We're looking at hiring a couple more people over the next couple of months. And to have like a positive work environment, and everywhere that I've worked, we've had, a haunted house business, my last marketing company. I like to think everybody has really enjoyed doing what they do and working together. And when you understand that people are willing to take a pay cut to work somewhere positive, you really start to understand that like it's powerful for 2 things. Because one, it should motivate employers to understand that it's not the ping pong table and the snacks and the dumb stuff that these big places like Facebook and whatever have. It's working towards a similar goal. Like it's about being a part of something bigger than yourself. You feel like you're coming in and you're actually making a difference for the company. And when you're small, that's easier to feel because like you're picking up all the slack, you're kicking butt, and you're making an impact that's actually resulting in the company growing. It can also be about being, if the company has a much better, a bigger, what kind of worldwide vision, like, Facebook wants to change the world and connect everybody. So like you want to be a part of that. But on like a small scale, like with what we do, like just being good to your employees and providing a good place for them to work. So many people want to start a business, not because they want to start a business, but because they just don't want to work at a job. Right. And they think that working at a job has to suck. Like, come work for me for 6 months. It doesn't suck. Like,
right. Welcome to how I started what I did.
Yeah. I'm sure working for you would not suck. Like,
I hope it doesn't. I'll ask Clay and Jane.
Yeah.
Airlines, military, contracting, I enjoyed what I was doing, but I didn't love the job. The work was great. I was gone all the time. Like I traveled the world. It was awesome, but I didn't see anything. I've seen more since in the past 4 years almost than I've seen in the previous 15.
Nice.
Because I finally started going places and enjoying things and doing things I enjoyed while I was there versus going there for work. And what people are finding is money buys happiness up to a point.
Yeah.
Once you hit that point, there's no more happiness derived from owning money. And typically it actually has the adverse effect. But people are realizing quality of life. Oh, I can work from home a day a week. I can have a flexible schedule. I can call in sick and not worried about getting yelled at the next day. I, get to do work I enjoy and am passionate about for the most part. Yeah, I got to deal with a little bit of the crap, but still, for me, I don't love doing paperwork. I still get to do tons of it, but all the pros outweigh the cons. And I would absolutely take a sacrifice to do that any day of the week. Yeah. Because when you're passionate, when you enjoy what you're doing, when you love your workspace, when you love where you go, you want to be there. It's almost like the money doesn't matter. The money's the icing on the cake. Like, you get people that say, they pay me to do this. Like, I can't believe they pay me to do my dream job. And that's 10 times more powerful than that $1 million salary. But when you have people that are passionate about what they do, when you have people loving what they do, that grows to that $1 million salary or whatever the number is.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. There's been a couple of people too that have been like wanting to apply or work, and I've always seen them as entrepreneurs, and they've realized what you were just saying a couple minutes ago, and that was they're realizing like maybe I'm good at business, but it's not what I'm passionate about. It's not what I want to do, and I'm willing to take a pay cut to not have to deal with communicating with clients and sales and growing the business and all of that. And all I want to do is web development. All I want to do is just code all day. All I want to do is just design or make videos and graphics all day. All I want to do is just write. Like whatever their passion is, it's actually a really interesting time because I don't know if I'm just seeing it, but I'm seeing a lot of people be open to the idea of just focusing on their passion, even though I think they could like make way more money as a freelance person. Like, yeah, I just don't want to deal with it. I just want to come in and do what I'm passionate about. I don't want to have to, deal with the client drama or whatever you want to call it. They just want to create, It's interesting.
And it's back to that idea of, as a business owner, you're doing it all.
Mm-hmm.
How much per hour are you making? How much are you working? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Where then, okay, we step back and we go, all I'm going to do is the one thing I'm super passionate about.
Yeah.
And I'll take a pay cut because I'm actually making more per hour now. Because before I was working a 40-hour week on my passion and a 20-hour week on all the things to run the business. Now it's a 40-hour week on my passion and my passion alone.
Yeah.
Someone else is doing all the stuff I don't like.
Yeah.
I see that as super rewarding.
Yeah, that's super cool. I think you got to like almost be willing to make like at some stage in your business, like you're okay with, usually early on, you're okay with like an employee maybe making more than you. Like, okay, I've got to hire someone and I'm growing a business. Like you don't want that to be the case, but like mentally you want to be okay with it. Be like, it's not about the money because I'm growing something here, and like you're focused on the long-term vision, the why, all of that, and give them what's important to them, which is money normally, and give them like the respect and the freedom to create whatever it is that's important to them. But money doesn't motivate every employee. Mm-hmm. And so you run into that as well, where you can give an employee, like you said, like you can give an employee a pay cut and they'll work way harder at another place because the environment's better. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, I find it fascinating what you said, like employees should never make more than the owner maybe, or like that's not the ideal situation. Mm-hmm. But I actually look at it in a different light. What if I paid someone to do what I did and I made less money and I worked less and my life was easier?
Oh, 100%.
But I still made enough. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on board with that. Like, I never thought about that, but I'm like, wow, if I could pay someone to do everything I do.
Right.
And they all made more money than me, but I only had to do things I love. Mm-hmm. Like, that's exactly what we're talking about, people leaving their jobs for. And me as a business owner, if I can get to that point, like, awesome.
Yeah.
And I think, like, what you were also saying is, like, money does motivate some people. It's rare those people are as happy as those motivated by their passions, their wants, their desires, their goals, their hopes, their dreams, their visions.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, and there's a book, Money Buys Happiness. It's like up to like $76,000.
Yeah, they literally figured it out.
Right.
I found like some study. It went up. Like there was a new study. It was like It was more like 100. But I'm like, yeah, that honestly, like in my life, I'm like, yeah, that's about right. Like, what more do you get? Like,
and we're in Ohio.
More like, dumb shit. Like, you don't need it.
Right. Like, oh, hey, I need another HDR camera. Yeah, why not? But
sounds good.
Right. We're both like, another 4K TV that shows a random city all the time. Love it, but
same screen.
What do I need? Like, what am I doing? Like, and so I think it's fascinating because, like, the other thing you got to take into account is, like, we live in Ohio.
Yeah.
Like, people don't realize how inexpensive stuff is here. My parents are on the East Coast. I have clients in California. Mm-hmm. Like, I talk to people about finances on both coasts, and I'm like, oh yeah, so you're making $200,000 a year, and they're like, yeah, we're struggling. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I live in San Francisco, and my rent's $4,000 a month, and I'm like, got it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
that's why the tech jobs out there, they offer them so much, and you really got to take a second and be like, okay, like maybe they're offering me $100,000 and some stock options. Like you're literally like living in a like apartment with a bunch of your friends at that price. Like you're getting by and you're making your money if the company does well off stock options, but it's crazy. Like it's just different here.
Well, and sometimes you got to put your time in. I always laugh. Prior careers working a lot with pilots. A lot of people don't know about the lifestyle of a regional pilot. They have crash pads where they pay for a room and a bed they share with someone else, and there's like 8 people paying for this place, and they go there, they sleep the night, they fly 12, 13-hour days, they do it for a week, they're off for 5 days, whatever, Jesus. Back and forth, and it's miserable. And because you have to build up. You go, and I'm not saying everyone does, but you go from your regionals to now you're on, your bigger airplanes, in the US still, your domestic flights. And then you finally hit the internationals where, okay, you fly Chicago to Shanghai 3 times a month.
That's it.
But I mean, think about it. That's a 15-hour flight or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're going back and forth. So 15 hours to get there, that's over a day of work. Then you have a day of rest there, day back.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at working 10 days just for those 3. But it takes a long time to get there. And I think that's the other thing about entrepreneurs. We're living in a world where it's quickly becoming reality that immediate gratification's not actually a thing for everybody.
Yeah.
You said, I want my $1 million company. How many $1 million companies were $1 million companies when they started? How many companies started as $100 companies, $1,000 companies, built ideas, they took off?
They all started at 0.
Right.
Yeah. They all started at 0. And the fact that's why I like when people are more patient with it and they want to, like, I'm the least patient person I know. Like, I'm terrible with it. So like I work on it, but like that lack of patience, is kind of honed in with some realism. I get it. But like people that want to take that jump and they're like, okay, like I quit my job, and everybody like cheers. And I'm like, whew, like that is the easy part. That's
right.
not the hard part, like
the work starts today.
Yeah.
Now that this is your only job, because you generate your paycheck. No one else does it for you.
Yeah. It's just, it's, I don't know, that to me has been like this big thing I've been trying to formulate like a whole thought around, because when so many of my friends, I'm super proud of them for like going after they want to start a business or they have a vision to do something else. But I'm like, you took the jump, but then it was like no plan yet, or that it was all in your head. And that's like, if it works out, like I want it to work out for everybody. Right. You don't want anything bad, but it's like, could you have not have worked a 9-hour, 10-hour day, even 10 hours, which is a long ass day for people that are, for people that have to go home and take care of their kids and everything. And then for 3 hours at night, or 2 hours or an
weekends.
Hour, whenever, work on that for like 3 years.
Yeah. Well, and like my example, I started this job not making any money. Okay. I'm going to also work a second job. So I was working 8 hours at night, 8 hours during the day. I was killing myself, but I was surviving. But what it let me do is it let me wean off that full-time work. It let me lean off that contracting work so I could do this more, be more passionate. And that's a lot of the work I do with business owners is I say, okay, where do you have to get with your side job to make it a reality?
Yep.
Here's that number. What's it going to take? Oh, you only have to close 4 contracts a month? And they're like, oh my gosh, that's a joke.
Yeah.
So great. Let's start closing 4 contracts a month while you're employed. Let's build a safety net up, because now that you're your own cash register, you don't have sick time. You don't have vacation time. So let's actually build up a safety net. So if you don't close those 4 contracts, if something happens, you're not immediately struggling, don't have any money, running home to mom and dad or wherever you can go. And you can actually focus on your job and your vision and not focus on finances every day, and build yourself to say, okay, little bit of side work. Oh my gosh, I'm ready. I'm set up. I've got success. I'm stepping out. But when I step out, I've worked a little harder, but now's number 1 hardest day because this is all I have. So those 4 contracts, you're not stressing because you've got 6 months of bills. You've got 3 months of bills. You're paying your 4 months. You're getting your contracts. There's no pressure except for, oh my gosh, now I can do 5, 6, 7. And then it takes off from there because you put in the work on the front end. It's all hard work.
Super practical advice. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. I feel like there was a lot of like top level advice, but also like you dove in with tons of super practical, realistic advice for people.
And I think the biggest thing is, when you're talking about advice, when you're looking at things like individual people require individualized advice.
Sure.
Cookie cutters are great for the big picture, But when we get down to the surface, you've got to talk to someone. You've got to lay your specifics on the line, put your information out there, because all cookies aren't made the same. It's got to work only for you, or it's got to work for you.
The general concepts really don't change that much. Right. Like the generalized advice I give most people before they even get there is all the same.
Yep.
And then when people talk about like a marketing plan, I'm like,
right, this
is the general concept.
Yep.
The general concept is you create content and we run dollars behind it. They're like, yeah, but I'm like, no, that first.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I do this. Okay. And then that means the content's going to look like this.
Yep.
But you're still going to just pay us for this many hours to create the content and this many hours to run ads behind it. It's really doesn't change. But, well,
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell people here any last words of advice, and then also where they can find you on the internet.
So last words of advice are, get advice. Don't lone wolf it. Don't do it yourself. Get advice, get support, ask somebody. Usually paying for that support is going to be less expensive than trying to do it by yourself. You can find me on Facebook, Jonathan Groleau. You can find me, there's also a Thrivent page on there if you want to follow financial stuff. You can find me on the World Wide Web, thrivent.com/connect, Jonathan Groleau. You can also Google it. Last name's Groleau. You can always call the office, 567-7141. Be happy to talk to people, see how I can support you. Sometimes just connect and have conversations. I love talking with people, learning new things. It's my job.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. And thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, man.